Hey guys, welcome to It's Just Complicated. We are so glad you're back with us. On this week's episode, we are going to continue getting to know Danielle and her family, as well as the parenting and teaching approaches she uses on a day-to-day basis. Last week, we left off getting to understand how Daniela's experience was with traveling for the first time without Mia, and what she had to have in place in order for it to be successful for both her and dad, as well as Grandma and Mia. So, Dunny, start us off. How do you maintain routine in your life?
Going on. And I think routine is very important. And a lot of people are like, how do you have a routine? Like, if you have to go somewhere, do you not take them? I try to keep it as, like, if we go out somewhere that she can't sleep, like if we're going on a trip, like to the zoo or something, and we're going to spend a day there, I try to bring things that she can sleep in the stroller, right? That's if I see she's really tired, I try to keep the routine somewhat there so that she understands that, like, okay, if I'm tired, I can sleep with my blankie and my passy and my milk is here, rather than just saying, oh, we're just going to skip nap. We're just not going to do it today. Yeah. Or like if we come over Michelle's and we know it's going to be a late night, I bring her stuff so that if she's tired at 8 o'clock, I bring her upstairs, I put her in the pack and play, I put her same song that she sleeps with at home, and she understands that, okay, I can go to sleep now. Try not to break that, so that although I'm not living around her routine, I'm still respecting her routine.
Yeah. And acknowledging that in the end of the day, you can offer someone sleep, but you can't force them to sleep.
Oh, right. We know that.
So it's like, I will take the quiet time. You don't want to sleep,
but you could just lay there
but you'll lay there for 45 minutes. That counts as resting time for me. You gave yourself and your body and your mind some time to rest, and you gave me some time to rest.
Yeah.
So it's important. Like, I agree. Like, I know a couple of people that have routines, but it's like, oh, I can only do something after this particular time and before this particular time. And I do put that into consideration when I'm planning play dates, for example, right? But I also have things with me. So in case I change my mind and I decide that we're having a really good time and I want to stay. Or if, like you said, like we're going to a zoo and we're going to be gone all day. I'm not about to drive all the way to Bronx Zoo, for example, for this awesome experience.
And then come home for 2 o'clock.
And then come home before 12:30 when the zoo opens at 10.
Right.
To meet our nap needs. So what do? I prepare for a possible nap on the road. And if that works, great.
And try to be mindful when you're traveling too. Like when we went to Florida, it sucked for Michelle because her kids are older, but we traveled around the times that it worked for the kids to sleep in the airplane.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Same.
So although it would be wonderful for us to leave at 6 a.m., at 6 a.m. they would be wide awake and it would have been a horrible experience. So we traveled for their nap time, and I don't remember if they both napped, if Ella and Lucas napped. I know Mel napped. Lucas did. Yeah, Lucas did. But she was quiet. She had her quiet time. So be mindful of those things.
We brought a lot of stuff.
We did. Yes. Actually, Michelle is awesome because she was in the airplane and Ella was getting, wanting to get down, and Michelle pulls out like a bunch of drawing things and this. And I'm like, oh, I love traveling with teachers. They're awesome.
I am that mom. Like, people often make fun of me because it's like my backpack that I carry with me has, her basic needs, obviously. But you can bet on it. I will have everything she needs there. Multiple different activities in that bag.
I'm the snack mom. When I travel, I always bring extra for my kids and for the kids around me because I know they're going to want. So I always bring like extra yogurt, extra cheese, extra fruit, because I know that if they get hungry, they don't want to wait in line until you get something for them to eat. So I'm like, oh, your kid's hungry? While we get their food, here's some fruit, here's some this, here's some that. And then Michelle brings all the toys, so it's great when we go out together.
Toys and activities. I have a book bag it's set for every time I travel. Because there's been an uptake in traveling in my life this year. So I leave a book bag that is ready for traveling, and it's ready to go every time. It has different variety of stuff, books.
That's stickers. A good side note for our traveling episode.
Yeah.
What you should be doing to travel with kids.
Yes. We'll add that on. And we have some other questions from some of our other girls. They wanted to know, what is your favorite way to engage with your daughter?
Well, I think it's easy for me to say hands-on, right? I like floor play. I love teaching her things, so I like to be hands-on. I like to be on the floor. I like to be doing whatever she's doing beside her, whether I'm just watching or I'm showing or talking to her dollies with her. But I also love outside play.
I was gonna say, I seen that you guys were on the bridge the other day and experiencing the outside world. Yeah,
so I leave a lot of our sensory games and our sensory activities for outside play, because don't get me twisted, I have a lot of anxiety when it comes to the mess that comes with a lot of the a lot of the sensory toys and sensory games and activities. So do I want my child to play with these things and pour things into another cup because it helps her skills and whatever? Yes. Do I want that all over my floor? No. So I take those outside.
Because let's be realistic, it's time consuming too.
Yeah.
So when you put her down for a nap, now you're cleaning the mess and now you're not focusing on the other things that you have to do in the house.
Yeah. So, I try to split our playtime into whatever milestone we're trying to meet, or whatever her developmental stage, whatever she's interested in. And I try to provide different activities throughout the day. So, for example, on days that I work, I am not going to pick out the lentil sensory box right now. We're not about to put lentils all over my floor while I'm teaching, because that would drive me nuts. So I leave those for one, when I have more time, or two, when it's nice weather and we can sit on the porch. And if you spill that all over the porch, that's okay.
It's easy to clean.
It's easy to clean. I don't even have to get it to it today. I can get to it whenever I get to it, if the raccoons don't eat it first.
One of the things that we Ella learned with my mom was gardening. She loves to go outside garden, and in the beginning I'm like, oh my god, she's gonna get all dirty and she's gonna ruin her clothes, and now I'm like, put in whatever and let her go outside, let her play, let her experience. And she loves it, the rocks and the flowers, and she's so gentle with it. My mom planted strawberries, so she goes and picks the strawberries with my mom. And I feel like now I'm learning that outdoors is the best place for them to learn those sensory things and just explore.
And to be dirty, right? So like, I'm working through that right now, because I have a lot of, feels like crippling anxiety for me for a lot of things. It feels.
Dunny and Lenny are very similar.
I know. Is it a Dunny thing?
It's a Dunny thing. I have very crippling anxiety sometimes, it feels like, to certain things. And I have recently started reading, podcasting, or, listening to this group of women that talk about outside time and playing in the wild. They have an awesome podcast. And they talk about different activities that you can allow, and things that you can do to prepare yourself for the kind of mess, right? So it's a lot harder for me to tell her, no, you can't jump in that puddle, when we're walking past a whole bunch of puddles, than it is for me to just pack a pair of extra clothes and then the waterproof outfit for the puddle play. Let's just be prepared for that puddle, right? You want to do the puddle? Let's put on our waterproof clothes and our special boots and go at it, roll around,
and
swim in it.
If you're going to the park, then put clothes that are comfortable, that can get dirty, that can get ruined. Let's not put your kid in your brand new Jordans to go run in the mud if it's a rainy day, because then you're going to be controlling them. Like, I don't want you to ruin those expensive sneakers. Instead, buy the Crocs, buy the Payless doesn't exist anymore, but whatever equivalent to Walmart shoes or whatever, and let them experience.
Have some extra stuff to keep your kid clean and warm in the car, so that, if they get into something that you weren't particularly prepared for, it's an easy, all right, you're not going to go home wet now, especially because we live in a place where it's cold a majority of the time. Yep. So we want our kids to get dirty
as much as they can,
and outside, and it's so good for them. It's good for their development. It's good for their immune system, right? So we want strong kids, and we want kids that love being outdoors, particularly in our house. So we have made it a weekly thing where we have weekly hikes and walks. And if I can get more than one a week, awesome. If I can't, then we have to do it at least once a week. Let's get outside. Let's do a child-led walk. Let's let her guide us. Let's follow her curiosity. Let's see where she goes and what she does, and allow her to be the leader of this experience, as opposed to us constantly telling her, you have to come this way, follow me, don't touch this. So just provide her an experience and let her do her thing.
That one of the important things for me of our house was having a backyard, because when we don't have time to go to places, you can play outside. Yeah. You have the slide, you have the swing, you have the play with the dirt, whatever, the grass. We got her a trampoline. Explore. And I say this, like, people think that it doesn't necessarily, you don't have to take them places to them to explore. You can use your house, your space. The dog, let her chase the dog, let her do whatever, let her bring her toys outside for a little bit and play outside and let her wander.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people get Montessori confused with a lot of toys that are like really cute. And it's like, Montessori isn't about that. It's about life and real life experience and doing practical things. You know, let your kids put on their shoes.
Make use of what you have around you.
I know. Like, you see all those Tupperwares that are just over there without lids? Let them match them. They will spend so long trying to put a lid on a thing, and it doesn't cost you anything. You know, and while you're cooking, your child can be sorting through the Tupperware or whatever.
Yeah, I moved from the parent that wanted my child to look cute all the time to now the parent that she looks cute when we're going out, like, to places like parties and events and family gatherings. But during the week, she has these Crocs that are really easy for her to put them on. And she 90% of the time has them backwards. But I'm letting her do it because when I say to her, it makes my life easier too, because I'm like, Ella, let's go put your shoes on. And she knows where her shoes is, and she goes and puts them on and moves out. Obviously, I would love to have my kid out the house looking cute all the time, but realistically, she needs to know how to dress herself and learn. And I brought it up on one of our episodes that the way that you give Mia options, although you're controlling the options, she has options, so she doesn't feel like she's being controlled.
Yeah.
So I need to get on that.
Yeah, she picks even her diapers. You know, it's like we do cloth diaper and disposable diapers. So
she picks the colors.
Yeah, her cloth diaper comes in different different patterns and whatever. So we sit her down, and she opens the drawer and she gets to select from the diapers that are there, whatever she wants. And it gives her a sense of ownership and a sense of control over a situation that you totally have 100% of the control. But she feels like, because you gave her a choice, now she gets to be herself.
Be herself, right? Participating.
Yeah.
Right.
She's creating her own sense of style. You are allowing her to be who she wants to be.
And I'd say, like, a tip for, the dressing cute situation. Like, most 99% of the time buy Mia secondhand clothes.
We get a lot of hand-me-downs.
Perfect. Because if you get that dirty, I spent like $1 on it. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. So you can put that pink dress that we just got at the store for $2. I don't care if you get that dirty at the park, because it costs me nothing.
I'm not really big. I wish Jackie was here. Jackie loves styling Lucas, and he dresses so cute. I'm not. She's the one that buys the expensive stuff for my kids, because she buys it for him and she buys it for me. I can't spend that money on it because I'm like, it's gonna get ruined. And not to say that I don't, like, I'll buy one sneaker that I know she's gonna wear a lot. That's another thing too. They grow out of it so fast. Yeah. Now with Mel, it's a little easier to spend on Ella because I know it's gonna pass down, so we're gonna use it twice. But I before I had kids, I was like, my kids ain't not using those light up shoes. They're not doing the Paw Patrol shoes. Like, my child's not going to be wearing Minnie Mouse shirts. Well, just because, I wanted them to dress cute, like the Instagram kid, right? And now I'm like, you know what? Who cares? Yeah. Who cares? Literally. Like, you know what? Great that you can post pictures of your kid looking cute all the time. My kid looked like a mess half of the time. Her hair looks crazy. When you see her out at a party, she'll look decent. But she's living her best life.
Yeah. And I also think that, wait, I was going to have a thought and it vanished.
That happens a lot here.
A lot. So much.
Vanished.
So as you think about the thought, another question that we wanted to know was, we know that you've built, a sense of independence as you are working from home with her, so that she can keep herself busy. How did you create that, and what is one piece of advice that you can give parents so that they can start implementing that themselves?
So I'm going to say that first of all, it does not work 100% of the time because she's not a robot. She is a child, right? So what I can do is I can set the space and I can prep. So one of the things that we do in our house is we do toy rotation. So that keeps toys more organized, more accessible, as well as interesting. Because I feel like just like how adults feel overwhelmed when their space is super cluttered, I feel like children have the same feeling of when there's just too many options. It's just, I want to touch everything. And I'm not going to waste my time here putting all of these things back because it's more interesting to just pull them out and to look at them. So we do toy rotation, and I try to be very mindful of what her interests are at the moment. So for example, even though I do toy rotation weekly, that playground has not left my living room for the past month and a half because it makes no sense to move it because it's getting played with every single day. So removing it would be convenient for me because I'd have my space back and I could put something else in its place, but it would probably lead to her wondering where it went and taking away some of my peace for the day. So I leave that stuff. So I feel like toy rotation is my first recommendation for if you're trying to have a space and work from that space as well. We also have a yes space in the same workspace as I work. So I have my office in the living room, and our house is very small, so that's just how I worked out. And it's perfect because from where I'm sitting, I can just look over my shoulder and I can see her, and I have a mirror that like faces her, so I don't even have to look over my shoulder.
You just look.
Yeah, because sometimes when we look over our shoulder, they notice, and then now they want our attention because we're looking, right? So I have a mirror that I can kind of position so I can kind of see what she's doing behind me. And then on days that I know, for example, that I'm going to have back-to-back classes, like some days I work from 4 until 8. Back to back. So on those days, then I am twice as prepared. So other than the toy rotations and pulling out some stuff that probably wasn't there in the beginning of the week for the toy rotation and introducing that for that day, I also think of snacks for that time while I'm going to be there. So I have all the snacks prepped out. And I also have specific activities that we haven't done, but that doesn't require my attention to do. So, that can be coloring, and that can be, scooping pom-poms, and I think sensory bins. As long as, again, I'm not about to clean up lentils from my floor.
It's something easy to pick up.
Yes, and something that she can easily pick up because lentils are just everywhere. There's a lot of them, but the pom-poms are a little bit easier. She can see that. She can put it back. So I do plan a lot. However, we do have meltdowns during work. So I teach English. I have to be on FaceTime. I have to be able to hear people, right? And I have to be able to speak. So that's really hard to do with a little one. So like this past week, we had a full meltdown while I had just started a class.
The
anxiety. And also like, it was a first time class. So it's like this for me was setting up my environment for work and how professional did I look, right? So I had this moment where I was already feeling a little anxious before the class even began because I knew that she was having an off day. So that's really hard because you can tell when your kid is having an easy day that you can probably get a lot of stuff done. And then some days you really can't, and you're not going to be able to. So I already had a little bit of anxiety building up for this class because I'm like, it's the first time. Like, I wish I could come in really professional. I wish she could be sleeping so I could come across put together, right? But that
so you don't think that this is going to happen every single class we're having?
Exactly. And I let my students know, right? That is one of the things, like before you even start a course with me, I set very clear boundaries. I have a daughter. My main priority is my child. I am here to help you and to teach you, but you gotta be flexible with me, and I will return the favor if you need to cancel because your kid is sick. If you are late, I will find a different time for you. And I expect the exact same from me. If my kid is sick and I need to cancel last minute, sorry, I will make up on another day. You can give me a time and I will make it work. But during that moment with a new person, I was like, well, I'm going to have to do something about this, right? She's like throwing a fit in the beginning of a class. Like I couldn't even get through like the exercise. So I was muting my iPad so that I could hear her, but she couldn't hear the hot mess that was happening in my house. And I tried addressing Mia a couple of times, like quickly, like just over my shoulder, like, mommy's working. Like, please go find your work. You have your own work, because we refer to playtime as work. So you have your own work, go find your own work. And she was adamant, like she wanted to just be on my lap. And that's something that we are very much working on. Like when I am sitting on the computer, and whether I'm on a FaceTime call or I am doing computer work for Instagram or classes, she can be beside me, but I can't now have you on me doing that stuff, because it's impossible to get any work done typing with little fingers trying to type too. So setting boundaries before classes is also super important, right? I don't wait to address that in the middle of a class. But I tried all the classic stuff. I tried redirecting her attention, pulled out some of the snacks, apologized to the student, like, give me a couple minutes. But it just wasn't happening. So I had to have a full moment where I was like, right now, my priority needs to be addressing my child's need. And it may not be an important need. I know it's not an important need, but for her, it's an important need.
Right.
So I told my student, I was like, I need 5 minutes and I will be right back. And she was like, okay. So, I just turned the camera like away from her, because I think she requires privacy during that time where she's feeling vulnerable and upset. And I turned my back to the camera and I gave her my full attention. I got down on her face, like on her level. And I was like, what do you want? And she's like, I want to sit with you, whatever. And she's like, I'm calling you mama. And I'm like, okay, well, mommy is working. And if you're going to sit here, then I need you to sit here quietly and you can eat your snacks. Okay? Okay. That's all she needed. So I was like, okay. Did I have to compromise and put her on my lap, which is something that I'm trying not to do? Yes. But in that moment, I needed to pick my battle, right?
Yeah.
Am I going to be able to teach this class with her on my lap? Yes. Right? But I gave her clear boundaries. If you're going to be here, you have to be here quietly and you have to eat your snacks. Okay? Okay. So those are the rules. She sat down, she ate her snacks, she waved hi, she was super cute on the camera, but she let me finish the class. So sometimes you have to take a step back.
Rather than ignoring her too, because it was going to be, you're going to have to cancel the class because you weren't going to be able to teach.
And then I'm building up that anger, right? Because I'm like getting more frustrated as time is going and I'm not meeting my work needs. And it's a little embarrassing, right? People are watching, they're listening. So it was just like, it was a moment where she needed her privacy. I needed to address her fully with my attention and not halfway. And once we kind of worked past that, she sat down and was fine, and I was able to work. But I have had classes where I'm like, listen, this is not happening now. Can I call you tomorrow? Or can I call you when my husband is home? And thankfully,
everybody's understanding.
Everybody's very understanding. And I start off by saying, listen, I work because I want to work and I want to have a career. I don't have to work. So don't feel like you have to come to me and
you can choose someone else.
You can go find someone who's going to be super punctual and have like this incredible attention just on you. Go for it, But thankfully, my job is through word of mouth. So people search for me and people come find me because of what they've heard. And if nobody's complaining about my crying kid, then I guess I'm doing okay.
I honestly, right. I do therapy online.
Same.
With the therapist from Brazil. And I have a really hard time because sometimes I have the kids while I'm doing therapy. Mm-hmm. And sometimes they're not napping. Yeah. And this week I kind of had a little meltdown with my therapist. And I said to her, I feel like I don't get my full therapy session because I have to stop to address my kids. And it's giving me anxiety. Like, I don't know if she's kind of annoyed on the other end because she's probably like, this is therapy, girl. What are you doing? Yeah. And I said to her, I apologize, but this is the only way that I'm going to be able to do therapy. And right now, even if it's I get half hour out of that hour, I need that half hour. And she said to me, I totally understand. I get it. Let's work with something that like, what times can you give me all your invited attention? Like, what works for you? And I said to her, honestly, I don't have that time because I leave work and I come home and then I'm in the house with the kids. And if they know that I'm in that room because they can hear me, they want to come in the room. And even if my husband is home, sometimes he can't control them because they're banging on the door and they want to come in. And she said, okay, well, how about before you pick them up from daycare, you give me an hour in your car?
Perfect.
And I said, okay, I can do that. But it was nice to know that she was understanding.
Yeah.
That she was like, you know what? I'm not going to just drop you because you can't sit through a therapy session. Because I understand what you're going through. Although she doesn't have kids, she understood that moment that for me, it was more important for me to have that therapy with my kid screaming on the side.
Then not at all.
Than not at all.
Yeah.
So people actually having grace, like Michelle said, for you and all that, it's helpful. Because parenting is hard. And it might seem great for everyone out there on social media, but it's not. No. Even with you, like you have your system and you have all these little things with Mia, and sometimes it doesn't go the way you want it to go.
No, and you should always expect it not to go how you want it to go.
Because we're humans.
You're human, right?
Not robots.
Right.
Yeah, and especially at that age, right? There's so little. It's like, I feel like even for you that has a 7-year-old now, it's like you can't predict what that 7-year-old is going to say, nonetheless what he's going to do. Yeah. So to just expect that I'm going to have 4 hours of my day undisturbed.
Well, us recording our podcast and expecting that there's going to be no noise.
Yeah,
there's no way.
I didn't even hear it. I'm like, it's in the background, whatever.
Because we're moms.
I didn't even hear it.
Yeah. And so we do have one more question before we close off. And the question is, what are your feelings about screen time?
Wow. This was the one question from the whole entire questionnaire that was really nerve-wracking for me, because it's a topic that really offends folks and people get real worked up about it. Okay. So with all kindness and only mentioning what works for my family and what we believe in, we don't do screen time. So we don't do screen time because that is the recommendation. Right? That is what pediatrics recommend. Up until the age of 2, no screen time other than like if you're doing a social phone call, because that's still considered like socializing. But before the age of 2, no screens. And then after the age of 2, the screen is somewhere between 30 minutes to a max of an hour, but ideally it should be 30 minutes. So right now we do no screens, and that means ever. We don't do screens. We don't go to people's house. I don't let her watch the TV that's on. That's
hard.
Yeah, it is. So like Michelle, I come prepped. So for example, for Thanksgiving, we're going to my mother's house for Thanksgiving. There will be many other kids there, including children who play video games. So I know that TV is going to be on.
And they'll have their iPads and their phones and everything.
They'll have all those things. So I can't control what other people do with their kids and phones and iPads. That's not my job. My job is to just care for my child and to implement the things that we implement while we're there. So I come prepared. I usually designate a specific corner of the house of where we are, preferably away from the TV, to be the playing spot. And I bring my playmat, I bring all my toys, I bring the books, I bring things that I know is going to be interesting, and I bring my snacks. I make that corner the corner. And I have found that 85% of the time, the children that usually are on iPads will leave their iPads behind and join Mia in the play corner. Because we do work with a lot of toys that are not just for Mia's age. We work with a lot of puzzles and we work with a lot of hands-on things. So often I find that even the 6 and 7-year-olds that are usually on their iPads will drop the iPads and come along. So I'm prepared. And then on those situations where the screen is there and I can't turn it off because I'm not in my house, I just redirect the attention, right?
So you don't expect the people that are around you to respect the fact that you don't like screen time.
No.
You figure out what's best for you and your kid and have that, like...
Make that work.
Instead of saying, can you not have your kid on the iPad because my kid can't go on the iPad? You redirect it to a space where works for you and
join
your
us
child,
here.
right?
Yeah, and it's like, I can't expect people to bend backwards over something that is super untraditional right now, right? It is traditional for people to have their kids on their iPads and their phones, and each their own. What works for you works for you. I have some personal strong feelings about the necessity of learning social cues and social behaviors and socializing. So for me, that means that when we go to someone's house, we are going to have to find a way to entertain ourselves in a way that everybody gets to participate, as opposed to now we're all just staring at the screen and nobody is talking. There's no language happening. There is no socialness happening other than just staring, right? So I bring the stuff, and if I see that she's wandering to the living room where the TV is, I'll give her a few minutes so that I'm not just ripping her away immediately, right? I'll follow her in there, and she'll look at the screen, and usually she'll stare at it for a second
And then walk away.
She's not used to it. So she'll stare for a second, and then she'll turn around and she'll find someone or something to do, or she'll come back to me, So if I get a moment where it's like, I don't know, there's like Paw Patrol, something that's catching, a little more catchy, right? Because doggies, and we're into animals right now. So if I see something like that on TV that I know is going to catch her attention for a long time, I will address that. So it's like, oh, that's really cute. It's a really nice doggy. Let's go find some doggy in your books. Do you think you have any doggy in your books? And then I redirect that attention back to our location and the appropriate place to be. That usually works. Works. And I also don't expose all of the toys all at once when I arrive, so that I have some rotation. Stuff in my bag.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah,
to kind of redirect.
Yeah, and I think the screen time is hard because us as adults, we don't have control over it.
Yeah.
Right? We're on our phones, we're on social media, we're on this, we're on that. I think for me particularly, it's hard. Mm-hmm. I'm not gonna lie, my kids have a lot more screen time than I would like them to have.
Yeah.
I do try though when they are on the screen to put on educational stuff, mm-hmm. because I feel like if I'm going to let them watch, at least it's something that it's teaching them something. So we've been putting on things that are in Portuguese so she can get exposed to the Portuguese language and whatever. I don't know. Our pediatrician never talked to us about the whole exposure and age thing. So for me, I'm more laid back about it. She's around a lot of older kids that have the iPad and the phones or whatever. But I do think that when she's really good at playing by herself. Mm-hmm. I don't know how Mel's going to be because she's so little still. But Ella will come here and she'll sit in a corner and she'll find a toy and she'll play. And then she'll come and she'll watch and she'll go away. So I would love to cut back a little. But it's like sometimes we're out for dinner and I just want to have a nice meal.
Yeah.
And Fernanda has said to me plenty of times, she's like, you need to find something to entertain her. But I work full time. Like I work 40 hours a week. I have a busy schedule. I have 2 kids now and I'm sitting at a place to eat. And sometimes I just want to eat my meal. And if her, entertaining herself for a minute or 2 is helping me, it's what works for me.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's where we need to understand that I can't judge you for what works for you because I need to understand that maybe you're not mentally there.
Yeah. And that plays a huge role. Like I listened to the last podcast and I think it was Michelle that mentioned it depends, like her parenting style depended on her mental health. And that is huge. That is huge because you can't give from an empty cup and you can't pull patience out of a bag if you ain't got none left. So it's super important to do what works best for you and your kids and, recognize when you're not in a place to address that in the way that you would ideally want to address. And then just, go with the flow. What I have done now in a little bit of preparation, for example, for not just Thanksgiving, the upcoming holiday get-togethers with older kids, but also for travel, I have introduced what looks like an iPad, but isn't an iPad.
What is it? Tell me.
So on the outside, right, it's the same concept because it's the same size as an iPad. It kind of looks like an iPad, but it's a drawing board.
Oh, you know what I did? I downloaded a drawing app on the iPad.
Yes. We love that. So I've just, because sometimes it's like, it's not necessarily about what the kid is watching on the iPad. It's the fact that they just want to touch something that or hold something, So I got something that kind of looks like an iPad, but it's just a drawing board, and it's really cute. She's into cats right now, so it's like cat themed, and like she loves listening to music. So it's hard because when we're around family members, people want to put the music on, but they want to put the music and the show. And it's like we listen to all of the traditional stuff, but we don't watch any of the things. So we'll turn it on and we'll put the phone away. So I will correct adults when we are out in gatherings and like she's asking for Old MacDonald Had a Farm and someone wants to put it on for her and then hand her the phone. So I just very gently go, oh, we don't watch it though. We only listen
to it.
So you can put it on and you can turn the phone off. And if you want to let her hold the phone, I personally try my best not to let her because it's $1,000 phone. Why is my 1-year-old holding that? But, I was like, if you want to let her hold it, she can, but it needs to be off. So it's, it can be
Challenging.
And I am known to be the most annoying mother in my family. Like I am the one that people are like, oh, Daniela has routines and Mia doesn't eat this and Mia doesn't do that. And it's like, yeah, she doesn't. But when we compare to what she can do in comparison to other kids her age, she's also able to do a lot more other things because we are stimulating the brain to be able to do certain things.
I also think that the judgment stems from you not being able to do it yourself. So you're going to nitpick at what the other one is doing so that you feel better about what you're not doing.
Yeah.
So the fact that you don't give your child screen is a little bit triggering for me that gives my child screen because I'm like, I want to be like her and I want to be able to follow all those guidelines, the healthy guidelines. But I have to understand that just doesn't work for me, and that's okay. And I am not going to nitpick at you and say like, oh, you're annoying because you don't give your child screen.
Yeah.
It's what works for you. And maybe if I really want to implement that, then maybe I should start taking the steps that you're taking and the time that you're taking to redirect my child rather than saying, oh, she's annoying. My biggest thing is with our family parties is like, Ella's not really, I don't really give her junk food and I don't give her juice. She only drinks water. And when we're at family parties, she's exposed to it. And I can't expect to tell Michelle's kids like, don't drink juice. Don't drink juice because I don't give my child juice, right? So what I've always been very cautious about, if I'm going to give anybody's kids anything, I ask before. I've always been like, hey, Michelle, can the boys have this? Or hey, Fernanda, can Emily have that? Or Jackie, whatever. But other people sometimes aren't. And I'll just say like, hey, she doesn't drink juice. Although now we got her so used to water that she refuses it herself. She's like, had a hard time when she got her tonsils removed because she didn't want anything sweet and no juice because she won't drink it. But chocolate, for example, at the party, she was picking brigadeiros from the table and she was just eating them. And at that point, I'm like, you know what? She doesn't eat it on a regular basis. If she's going to eat it for one night, if she's going to eat cupcakes like she ate here for the Halloween party, it's okay. Because I also don't want to be that parent that's depriving her from experiencing those things.
Yeah.
So I think just have the healthy balance, as long as I'm not feeding her cupcakes every morning for breakfast and she wants to try it at a birthday party, why not? Yeah. I worked for a family that actually, the little girl would go to birthday parties and she couldn't eat the cake that everybody else was eating. And I felt like that was a lot for that child.
Yeah. It creates a seclusion, right? A separation. And I feel like it can create a lot of develop eating issues. So that is something that I am working very hard as somebody who has eating issues and doesn't have the best relationship with food, learning to teach my daughter the proper connection and relationship to food and how we look at food was super huge for me. And I have moments where I have to check in with like my nutritionist. I'm like, listen, she wants applesauce.
What do I do?
Like, she wants more applesauce, and she didn't eat a all of her food and she wants more applesauce. And it takes somebody who doesn't have an eating issue to go, applesauce is food. It counts. It counts as if she was eating an apple. Would you deprive her of another apple if she just had one? No, you would be like, yeah, go right ahead, have another apple. So it's like the labeling of like bad food, right? We know that certain things are like, for us, for example, we don't do sugar before the age of 2 because that's just a recommendation. I'm a big girl on recommendations. I try to stick to them, you know, as much as I can, as much as it's doable for me. So it's like, if I know the recommendations, no sugar before the age of 2, I'm going to try my best to do my best to provide home
Options,
to be
right.
a place where we do things without sugar. And when we go out, I also bring those things with me so that I have options, right? Because if my kid sees someone else having a cupcake, she's going to want a cupcake of her own. So if I'm going to a party they're going to be like chocolate cupcakes, then I bring my homemade sugar-free cupcakes for her. And it's like, here, you can't have this particular one,
But you can have this one.
but you can have this one.
Oh.
And usually she's like, okay, you know. And if she wants a bite out of that cupcake, have a bite out of that cupcake. Are we going to eat the whole cupcake?
Are we going to take the frosting out and you can have the rest of it? Sure.
Sure. Like we
Compromise.
We can compromise because this is not going to be a daily thing in my house, right? So I feel like thinking about things, and like I grew up with, you can only have dessert if you finish your whole entire food. And I serve dessert with the food for my girl. And it is what it is. Because there's no such thing as bad food and good food. It's just food that
She's going to eat it anyways.
Yeah.
Before or after.
Yeah, and it's just like you want the relationship. Well, for me, I feel like I want the relationship for her to have with food to be like nutrition. Like, right? Like this is going to provide my body with more fuel than this. So it's like I want her to still know that she can have those things, but we would prefer to have something that's going to fuel our body a little bit more. But it's a work in progress, and I often check in with people that just know more than me when I am feeling in doubt.
Do your research.
Do my research. I reach out to some friends that, know more about the topic or experts, and I just do my best to follow what I can, and what I can't, I try to compromise with something that is doable for us. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. I definitely
Been great.
Yeah.
Been loving the conversation. We have to have her every episode now.
This is great. I mean, as we continue to tap into parenting, we'll be touching upon a lot of these subjects. So I'm interested to hear what are some other perspectives. But I think what we can take away from this is it's okay to parent your own way. But the judgment, I think, is going to be key. Yeah. If you're going to sit here and you want to parent your own way, but you bring out that judgment vibe, no one wants to hear you. No one wants to be around that. And I think that's important. And it's huge. I think that's with everything in life, not just parenting. I think with career, with your own lifestyle. If you're going to bring that judging vibe, it's just not it.
I agree. I think I love that she said, I'm going to a party. I know what's there. I'm going to do what works for me and my child without judging the ones that are there. And what works for you. And the same way around, I think they have to respect that she doesn't want her kid to have those things. And then do what works for you, like getting something that looks like an iPad so she doesn't feel like she's the only one left out.
It allows everyone to feel like they're normal.
They're normal,
and
right?
And
right.
can participate,
right?
The last thing that I want is for all the kids to be hovered watching something really cool, and now she's in a corner, and I'm just forcing her to just sit
be bored
and be bored. It's like, hey, listen, we can't watch what they're watching, right? But we can sit here, and I'm not going to leave you here to yourself either. If that means that I have to step away from my time socializing to sit here and socialize with you because other kids are not socializing with you right now, then that's what I'm going to do.
I'm really big about that. If you don't want your kid to be on an iPad or not drawing, but on an iPad or playing video games or whatever it is, you're going to have to step out of your moment. Yeah. And you can't expect the other kids to entertain your kid just because you want to socialize. Mm-hmm. So like you can't expect, I can't come here and say, hey, Nathan, can you not be on your iPad so you can play with Ella because I want to go hang out with my cousins? If I don't want her to be on it, unfortunately, I'm going to have to take the time and stay. And that's really big. I was telling my cousin yesterday because he was like, oh, you guys don't come here anymore after you had kids. And I'm like, well, that's because for me, it's really hard to bring my kid around all adults because what ends up happening is my husband ends up having a good time with everybody and I'm sitting there with my kids, entertaining my kids. Yeah. So I'd rather go home and do their routine with them and have their toys, have their things, because it's also very hard for you to entertain your kid in a household that doesn't have little kids. Yeah. And then I'm comfortable. I put them to bed and I go relax. And now we both relax. He can go play his video games and I can go watch my shows. And my husband has a really hard time understanding that because he's like, I want to go out and I want to go have fun. And I'm like, yeah, but you're there sitting and drinking with the boys and I don't drink. So I'm sitting here by myself with the kids. And that's not fun for me.
I'd rather just do that at home.
I know. And I'm like, I'd rather go home because then at 8:00 I put them down and I get to have my food that I like eating. Because I'm not the healthy. I try to instill in my children healthy eating habits, but I'm not a healthy eater. Like I like my junk food and I like calling Michelle and saying, hey, let's go to McDonald's. It's terrible. But like I try to not do it around my kids so that they're, but when I am out and about, that's what people don't understand. They're like, why don't you want to come out? Well, because it's a lot. It is. And if I don't want my kid to be on a TV, to be on an iPad, then I'm going to stay home because it just works better for me than having to feel like I'm excluded now because I'm sitting in a corner with my kid while everybody else is laughing and drinking and participating of adult conversation. That's another thing I'm really big about. I don't think kids should be around adult conversations. I think if the ambiente, how do you even say that in English? The environment. If the environment is more adulty environment, then I choose not to bring my kid. So like yesterday, we went over to my cousin's house because I was kid free and I had a blast. I had a great time because I was able to sit on a table and laugh with them. And while everybody was drinking and having conversation, I was kid free. Yeah. And I was enjoying myself. So know where like you can't fit your kid into everything you want to do all the time. You're not going to bring your kids to the bar with you. Although a couple months back, we seen somebody walk out of a bar with a baby, what's it called? Car seat. And I was like, why? Yeah. Why would you bring your baby into this environment? Well, no judgment, but really kind of judging because I'm like, I get it. You need to socialize, but like, girlfriend in the bar?
Yeah, it's tough. And I feel like, especially for me around family members that have a very old school traditional way of raising kids. I am the only one in my family that does no screens. I am the only one in my family that does Montessori, right? So that it's hard around this time of the year, like Christmases, and people want to give me the flashy, blinky, loud stuff. And I'm very open about it.
That's true. I didn't think of that.
Very open about it. I'm like, listen, you want to gift her something? I can give you a list of things that we need and that she needs for entertainment. And I'm very open about it. If you give me something outside of this list,
I'm returning it.
I am returning it. I love you. It's not coming from a place of I didn't appreciate the thought you put into it. It's just that certain things in my house are just not allowed. And
that's fair.
It's like I don't mind my daughter playing with a flashy toy at grandma's house. If grandma wants to have that toy at her house, she can have that overstimulating toy at her house. But I am not going to now welcome all of these unwanted toys into my environment that I work in and that I live in, because then I'm setting myself up for failure and my child up for failure. So around the holidays, it's hard, not just the get-togethers and all the stuff that I bring to the table when I come over, because I feel like I'm that person, where people are like, ugh. Here comes Dunny. Here. Dunny is coming,
Oh, we can't give her cupcakes. Gotta hide the cupcakes.
I never at any point I'm like, hide stuff. Because like I work around my environment, and I try to just be prepared for everything. But it does give me a little bit of anxiety because I'm like, I feel that from people. Even if they're not saying it, I feel. And I always have to step in and educate the adults of why I do no screen time. Like, here are the reasons.
It's kind of exhausting to have to explain yourself all the time.
It is. And I try to keep it facts, right? I'm not over here sitting here going, this is my opinion about why
That's
I
just,
shouldn't
like,
do
questioning.
Yeah.
Just accept it. Are you that parent's child? No. Are you the one that is sitting having to?
According to her pediatrician who went to school for this and she gets checks regularly, she said we shouldn't be doing this. So we're not. Sorry, no, she can't.
Yeah.
No,
I think that's
just
where,
because your children are fine, that's great. I'm happy your children are healthy. Mine are too.
Yeah.
And it's like I feel like in the Portuguese culture, I don't know if you guys hear this a lot, but like in my family, it's like você não morreu.
Oh, I hate that.
You didn't die over this. And it's like, it's not about survival, guys. It's about thriving, right? I want to raise my child to thrive.
And not growing up with all of these anxiety and all these traumas that we have, because we do have them. And we only realize that now that we do therapy, and then the therapist says it and you're like,
That's right.
that was a trauma?
Yeah, that's right.
I thought that was normal.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, it can be hard to educate people. Like, I feel like right now a huge topic that I was actually listening to a podcast right before I came here is consent, right? In a family and in a culture where hugging and kissing is the normal thing, whether kids want to or not. And I was one of those kids that I'm very anxious. I've always been very anxious. I don't like to be touched very much. Like, I don't really care for hugs. And I don't really care to have my face kissed by other people. It's just something that I don't like. But growing up, I was forced to all the time. Oh, vai lá, dá benção. Go over there and hug somebody. Go kiss somebody. And I don't plan on having my daughter have those same kind of things. I don't force her for those things.
So when you say you don't plan, you don't plan having her, like, Bansa, for example, is a really big thing in our culture, right? Is it something you want her to go to her elderlies, pedir Bansa at all? Or is it something you're like, I really don't care? Like, if she walks in the house and she doesn't want to say hello to anyone.
Like, I want her to be polite and acknowledge people. Right? She has to address the people. Not has to, but it is proper manner to address people in a house. So, hello, everybody. Did I ever die or have anything horrible happen to me because I didn't ask for a blessing to my elders? No, I've never been smitten or, hit by lightning. So it's just like, it's okay. I don't understand the need for it. I think respect is given in other ways other than Bansa. I know kids that ask for Bansa and then cuss their moms. And,
right, 100%.
And scream. Yeah. So it's like, my kid is not asking for her Bansa if she doesn't want to, but she's not going to disrespect you either. Right.
But I was having that conversation with Fernanda because she said to me she's having a really hard time with Emily right now, because she wants to teach Emily how to be aware of what her needs and her wants are. And she said, we have a really hard time when we get to family parties because I want her to go say hello to everybody. I want her to go say Bansa to grandma. But at the same time, like, how do I teach her that she doesn't have to do what she doesn't feel comfortable with, but that you have to do this when we go to grandma's?
Yeah.
So that's interesting because you're right. Like, she doesn't say Bansa, but she respects in other ways of if grandma is talking to her, she's listening, she's, not disrespecting.
I think it's just the perspective of how she's seeing it. Like, what do you think acknowledging, like, when you come into a room to acknowledge people, what does that look like to you? It might not be the same of what it looks like to her. And it's just kind of changing that perspective where it's like, she doesn't have to come and hug everyone just because you think that's what acknowledging people looks like.
Right.
Coming in and giving a wave and a smile.
Yeah, but I think
still acknowledging.
I think her anxiety is not what, because she's okay with her walking in and not having to go say hello to everybody. I think her anxiety is everyone else saying, filha da Fernandinha is like sem educação. Like, sorry, I said that in Portuguese. Like, that she's rude because she's walking in and not acknowledging everyone. And she's not rude, right? She can say hi everybody and walk on about her day.
Well, that sounds like two different things. So if she's rude because she's walking in and just like not acknowledging people, that's one thing. If she's walking in and she's waving,
well, that's what I'm saying.
Another.
But that's what I'm saying. I think what now needs to be done is kind of redirecting it to, you know what, you don't have to go say hi to everybody, but when we walk in, say hello to everyone because you're walking in the house, you're walking in the room, or whatever the case is. There's always the thing is whoever's walking in is the one that comes say hello to everyone that's inside of the house already. But too, like yesterday we got to the party and I came and I said hi to who I saw, and then I went to sit, and then everybody else that was there came and talked to me then. Am I about to go around the whole room to say hi to everybody? And one of our cousins made a joke. He was like, what's up with you? You didn't come say hi to me? And I'm like, I didn't even see you because I really didn't see him. But you know what? You came to me, so that's great. Like, we worked it out. I'm not a rude person. I know I'm not a rude person. I know I didn't do it on purpose.
Well, that's my rep.
No, Michelle has a resting bitch face everywhere we go, and it's actually embarrassing sometimes. 'Cause people are like,
yesterday I had to meet my needs first. I had to go get my drink and my food, and then I was gonna go say hi.
people come to me and they're like, Michelle doesn't like me. I'm like, I swear to you that she does not care enough about
don't
you
care
to
about
not like you. It's
anything.
really that she just has this face, and it's just her.
I don't care about anything, and if people want to think what they want to think, and they can take out the perspectives that they want to take out, I work with 120 students a day, and then I come home to kids, and my husband works a lot, and he helps as much as he can, but it's exhausting. And so for me to just no, don't take it personal.
I don't know. Don't take it personal.
I don't even go as far as like be like, don't take it personally. It's just, it is who I am. Right? I am an anxious person. I am absolutely not at all going to go around and kiss and hug everybody. I will 100% of the time, every time, just be the person that goes, hi everybody, I'm here, and when I'm leaving, bye everybody, I'm going. And that's it. I don't care to be in that hug fest. That's a lot of germs. That's a lot of personal space that you're invading. I don't care for that.
Yeah.
So I am teaching my daughter that it's okay to say no, and it's okay for other people to be uncomfortable with her no. And she is allowed to have ownership of her body. It doesn't matter just because grandma wants a kiss, then now because of that, grandma's going to absolutely get a kiss. No. That's not how that works.
I agree with that.
That's not how that works. So if grandma wants a kiss, grandma can ask for a kiss. If Mia says no, Mia said no.
Yeah.
Mia said no.
Yeah. And
what I've been teaching is no thanks or no thank you. So sometimes like her dad will go, can I get a hug when he comes home from work? And she goes, no thank you. And guess what? Daddy better wait and try
until
again.
she's ready.
My kids are they're ice and what is it? Black and white. They're very different. Where Nathan, unless he wants to give you a hug, he'll give it to you. And if he doesn't, he doesn't. And I'm just like, my thing, I personally feel that he should at least acknowledge people. And so if he doesn't want a hug, no thank you. And if he does, then okay. Yeah. But if he wants a tight hug, he can take a tight hug. If he wants a light hug, he can take a.
I also think people need to realize that the connection that he has with people, right? There's people that he will hug because he has that connection. You can't expect him to hug the aunt that he hasn't seen in 10 weeks or only sees for Christmas.
Right. Yeah, my biggest thing is, like I said, like understanding your perspective of acknowledging people is going to be different for anyone. And for your kids, for other people, I just think that, just acknowledging, I think that's just important just because it's, just, I don't want to like specifically name it as respect. it is kind of like respect, but I don't know. I think that's just interaction.
It's socially acceptable.
Yeah.
Like what is socially acceptable, right? It's acceptable to walk into a room and say hello to people that are there. It's not mandatory that we have to hug and kiss. Like that's not the next step into it. And I think like one of my personal point of views is it's very important to me her safety. Right? And that doesn't mean that just because we are around family or really close friends that everybody wants the best for your child all 100%. The time. And that does not mean that just because we are around who we consider to be family that we can let our guards down and just let people instill either fear or this uncomfortable situation onto our child. So to me, it's more about her having ownership of her body. It's about keeping her safe. It's about trusting her to feel her way through the world and letting her trust her instincts, right? Because, I mean, how many of us, especially us ladies as we're sitting here, have had instincts to like this, we are in the wrong place at the wrong time, or we shouldn't be here, we shouldn't be doing this. And sometimes we question that, right? We're like, am I being paranoid? And I don't want my child to ever feel that. I want her, if she's uncomfortable, I want her to know
say it too.
You're uncomfortable and I am stopping this situation because it is what it is.
You know how many times as a woman and as a little girl, I would say that an older man hugged me and I felt weird about the way I was being hugged.
Yeah.
Oh,
Amen.
no.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't want my child. I'm really big about like hugging because I grew up with that. So when I come in, I do benza, I go to my aunts and uncles and I hug, but it's certain people that I'm not comfortable with the hug. I give my hand. But with my child, I don't want, because I'm comfortable with it doesn't mean that she has to be with it. And I don't want to obligate her to do that. I want her to respect, yes. But I don't want to obligate her to do it because there were moments that I've had, the person come and hug me and I feel that extra hug like around the boob area, around like the hand. Men wear me out when they put their hands on your
Waist.
on your waist.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's too personal. Like my husband holds my waist. Like men shouldn't, the hug is over the shoulders or whatever if you're hugging. So yeah, there are moments that
Yeah, no, I think I've been big on that, like forever. I usually, especially the opposite sex,
yeah,
and even the same sex.
It's a physical touch that it's like it's
very
invading
preserved.
your space, right?
Yeah, and I feel like in our culture, there is no personal space.
There isn't.
There's a huge
and it's
lack.
really normal in our culture. So we're the weird ones
Yeah.
when we're like, I don't really want to hug.
Yeah. And I'm very open about it, but to me, I don't care if it's going to upset anybody. I don't care if my mom's going to be upset. I really don't. As a survivor of sexual abuse and it happening in environments where people wouldn't think would happen, I know what it's like for all the adults to trust every single person in the room and for that room not to be safe. So for me, above all things, my child's safety comes way before anybody else's pride, feelings, whatever.
One thing
Whatever.
that my dad was always about is never let us sit on anybody.
Yeah.
Never, at you.
Nope.
Fuck that. No, my dad was always like, you're not sitting on anybody's lap. I don't care if it's my brother. Like, I don't want you sitting on anyone's lap. And with my kids, it's the same thing. Like, I feel really uncomfortable when people pick up my child. Like, if they're strangers and, I feel weird about it because I'm like, can you just give her personal space? Can you not pick her up? Can you not keep smothering her? And I haven't had a situation where I had to say something because if, Ella's she doesn't like to be touched. So she'll if she wants to be hugged and held, she'll come to you. And it's only with the people that she's comfortable with that's around her. But I don't know how I would act, how my reaction would be. Because if I'm uncomfortable and I don't want my child to feel like I'm enabling that uncomfortable for her. Like you said, I don't trust everybody that's in the room. I don't care
Yeah.
who you are. I don't trust everybody that's in the room.
Yeah, and it's just like it's you never know. You never know. And I am a huge believer that our bodies have the capability of feeling when we are unsafe. And if we cultivate that and if we preserve that feeling from the start, I feel like children can then feel more comfortable expressing that feeling and feeling more comfortable coming to you and being, hey, so and so made me feel so and so way. So I try my best to keep that dialogue open. I correct adults in front of her if she's saying no and someone is attempting to still hug or attempting to still kiss. I will say, Mia said no, thank you, and can we please do something else? So I show her that you can stand up for yourself and you can put your foot down and it doesn't matter that it's just because it's grandma or grandpa. You can say, no, thank you. We can say it in a non-rude way, right? We can be very polite about it, but we can stand our ground and say, I won't tolerate this. And does that make me the annoying mom in the house? Probably.
But you're saving your child from trauma.
And in the end of the day, I'm happy with my choices. I go to sleep easily, peacefully, and I don't question myself whether my child was in a situation that I wish she wasn't in.
I love it. This should be a whole topic, actually.
Yeah. And I'm sure it will because parenting, there's a lot of things that need to be covered as well as a lot of things that are changing.
Yeah.
Parenting yours or our parenting isn't the same as it was before COVID and after COVID. And there's just so many things happening in our world that we just have to keep learning more about and how to address it. And
I can't wait for the COVID conversation, because I had both my kids during COVID. And a lot of people didn't understand that I didn't want visitors, that I didn't want people around my kid, because Ella was like right in the beginning of like big COVID. And I felt like I was really shamed for not wanting to expose my child. And I was the annoying one. But, like, that's my child's safety. And if my child dies because of COVID, nobody else has to deal with the grief but me.
Exactly.
And the choices that I'm making. So, you know what? Losing friendships, I will burn bridges that are necessary for me to be okay with where I am with my kid at this point. Yeah. Where I am in life right now, if it doesn't fit my lifestyle with my child, good riddance.
Listen, I send a message over the group family chat that we have going on for Thanksgiving. And I asked this past week, and I will ask again on Monday, but I said, quote, anybody sneezing, coughing, runny nose, do not come. Or if you're going to come, let me know, because I won't
will not
come.
go. Right.
I am not in the mood to catch anything, whether that is just a regular cold or COVID again or stomach bug or RSV. I am not here for it. And if that means that I won't go to the family Thanksgiving, I will be okay. I'll
survive.
Yeah. It's okay.
I'll be home.
I'll
in
be
my
home,
warm, comfy outfit.
Yeah, I'll put my kid down for her sleep
and
at
enjoy
8,
some wine with my husband.
I will have the best Thanksgiving with my husband in our own privacy. That won't include any of you guys, and it'll be great. But yeah, it's just we have to do what's best for us, for our mental health, for our children, and what works best for our family. Right. And everybody just needs to mind their own business and do their own thing. Right? Stop judging each other.
Unless you're paying for my bills and taking care of my child with me, you got no say.
Do your own thing.
And even then,
right? Respect people's boundaries. You know,
that's all.
Love
that's
this episode. We'd love to have you back.
Thank you. I love being here.
That
we
made
so
you comfortable. There's so much we could talk about, and I love that we can see a different perspective, because I feel like us girls, we kind of have somewhat of a similar parenting style, and we're not exposed too much to the whole opposite.
Yeah. So there's a lot to learn.
Yeah. So I'm the opposite?
No, like what I meant.
What I meant. Clarify that.
Right. What I meant was like you picked the style that worked for you, and you're literally following it as you go. And I wouldn't speak for the girls, but for me, it's like I know what I want, but I have a really hard time following it, because there is the convenient parenting, and I do have a lot of convenient parenting in me. I do have days that I get home and I'm like, you want to have yogurt for dinner? Honestly, like, I'm not going to fight you on it. I'm not going to. But then there's other days that I'm like adamant about, like, you're going to eat your veggies and you're going to eat your protein and all this other stuff. I watch your things all the time, because I'm like, I need to get ideas from her so I can start implementing it. And to knowledge, like, I don't research as much as you do. And I should, because if I want to instill these things, I need to research. But the reality is, I don't have time. I work, I have school, and not to say that that you don't, but it's like, for me and Michelle sees how busy my freaking life is, and it's hard. Yeah. So when I meant the opposite, it's like, you're actually working towards that goal. I'm like slowly, it's like when Fernanda said to me, when I complained about my body, and she was like, but you're not doing anything about it. I'm not ready.
Yeah.
I'm just not there. Mentally, I'm not there.
And I also think it's important to leave here on this note that not everybody is interested in doing the research, and that's kind of why I decided to start putting.
That's
the
why we
research
follow you,
out there,
so you can research. Yeah. We can get it from you.
It's like, let me sit there and do that research for you, and I will present it to you in a way that it's easy to digest, right? And I will try my best to give you alternatives to the issues that I feel like every parent goes through. And it's like, I try to keep it simple. I try to keep it quick and based on facts.
I think it's great that you give examples, because it's very overwhelming, all the research. So when you're giving snippets of what you do with Mia, and I'm like, oh.
Easier to understand. Right, it's really simple.
Right. Yeah.
And
and it's not as
I steer away
time-consuming.
from it. So I'll leave you to do the educating.
No, and I feel like a lot of people's ideas that these things have to take up a lot of time of your day, but
They
it really
don't.
don't.
They don't.
Like,
I know.
It's like 5 minutes. Like an activity that you see me post, we're not sitting there for an hour doing that. It's 5 minutes of that activity, and maybe she'll go back to it the same day. Maybe not. Maybe she'll see it tomorrow. But, it's just, I try my best to just digest it for folks and just explain it, especially in our community. I feel like our community is so behind.
Yeah,
so
no,
behind.
I think we all. I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and she said I usually let my girl wash the dishes with me, but today I just can't.
Yeah.
Today is just not the day.
It's okay.
And she said she wants to, but honestly, I'm so overwhelmed. I just need to get over with this. I can't let you help me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, girl, that's okay.
It's okay.
Get done what you got to get done. And tomorrow we'll try again. And tomorrow she could wash. It doesn't mean that because you're following that it's always going to be the same thing and it's going to be perfect. Again, we're human. Kids are human. They don't, even with the schedule, even with all of the things that they learn, they're not going to do the same thing every day. My kids have a good schedule napping. Ella sometimes does a nap.
Yeah, they're their own little people. And like I always say, these little things I throw in to the podcast, like, we just need to understand they're their own little people. We are our own people. And I think at the end of the day, it's just having grace, understanding that we're just not
100%.
the same. We're just not. Thank you so much for
you.
being here. We appreciate it. We appreciate the knowledge.
Yes.
We will drop Daniela's page because
Go follow her.
definitely a great resource if you are a parent or if you're becoming a parent, or if one day you just want to figure out how to do things,
or even if you're not a parent but you have nieces and nephews that you care for, that you're with.
What can you implement?
Yeah.
So
Thank
you so much, and we look forward to having you back on. There's so much to learn when it comes to authoritative parent, gentle parenting, Montessori learning. So
Relationship.
Relationship.
The English.
And soon to be back on the road, family.
Oh, yes. Oh, you know what?
So
we should have her back for an episode of that.
Yep.
For the RV life.
Yep. RV life. So.
Well, I'm trying to figure it out, guys. But if you whenever, I am always down. Like, you message me, you're like, I know it's last minute. It's like, I'll manage. I'll manage. It's okay. I loved it. It was a great experience. I was really nervous, but
we're gonna let you go back to Mia because she's probably wondering, where's my mom for this long?
Hold on, wait a minute.
I love you, Daddy, but where's Mommy?
Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming.
Of course. Thank you for
pleasure.
coming. There are so many parenting styles out there, and it's never too late to research or implement the kind of parenting you'd like to be. Have grace with yourself. You're also on a learning journey, no matter if it's your first child or fourth. You're glowing and growing each and every day. The importance is understanding that you are human and so are they. And it's okay to make mistakes. The takeaway is what you learn from that mistake. Parenting will always be hard. The most important part is to be aware of what your goal is as a parent. This is tough. It always was, and it always will be. We are here. Lean on your village each and every day. Be proud of who you are. You are not alone. It's just complicated. And the only way to bring change is to bring awareness. We'd love to hear from you and your thoughts on this episode. Feel free to reach out to us on Instagram at It's Just Complicated Podcast. See you later.